Returning from deployment always feels like walking into a new chapter. I can't wait to see my daughter's face, to hold my wife again, to settle into the routine of home. The anticipation buzzes in my chest as the plane lands. I imagine the warm embrace, the smell of home-cooked meals, and the comfort of my own bed. But when I pull into the driveway, something is wrong. The house looks the same from the outside, but as soon as I step inside, the air feels different. My heart pounds in my ears as I walk through the door. The living room is in disarray. It's cluttered with unfamiliar items, men's clothing, toiletries I don't recognize, and a strange cologne that stings my nostrils. My gut tightens. I call out for my wife, but there's no response. I check the kitchen, then the bedrooms. My footsteps echo in the empty house. I'm starting to panic. Where is everyone? A sudden dread grips me. I move through the house, each step heavy with the weight of something I can't yet name. I find the first clue in the master bedroom, a set of men's dress shoes by the bed. Beside them is a pile of expensive shirts, tailored suits, and a photograph. I recognize the faces in the photo instantly. My wife, looking younger, more carefree, and beside her, my brother's arm draped around her shoulder. I freeze. The image feels like a punch to the gut. As I continue my search, I come across a stack of bills with my brother's name on them. I glance around the room, the realization dawning on me. The place is no longer mine. My wife has moved on, and worse, she's done so with my brother. I stumble into the hallway, my hands trembling. My daughter's voice echoes faintly from one of the rooms. I push open the door to find her, my heart racing. She's sitting on the bed, her back to me. The sight of her small frame is a balm to my turmoil, but it's short-lived. "Daddy?" Her voice is hesitant, filled with confusion. "Sweetheart, it's me." I take a step forward. She turns, her eyes widening. For a moment, disbelief crosses her face. Then she collapses to her knees, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I thought you were dead," she sobs. "Mom said you were gone. They even buried you." The world tilts. My mind struggles to process her words. Buried? Dead? My wife told my daughter I was dead? My heart aches with betrayal. I'm overwhelmed by a mix of anger and sorrow. My wife's betrayal cuts deep, and my brother's involvement feels like a knife twisting in an open wound. I hear footsteps approaching. Panic surges through me. I need to hide, to figure out what's happening. I retreat into the bedroom closet, pushing aside clothes to create a small space. The door creaks shut behind me, and I huddle in the darkness, trying to steady my breathing. Through the crack in the door, I see them enter, my wife and my brother. They laugh, their voices mingling with intimate familiarity. It's more than I can bear. I clench my fists, my mind racing. I'm filled with a desperate need for revenge. The woman I loved, the man who was my brother, they've shattered my world. I stay hidden, my thoughts spinning. The sense of betrayal is overwhelming. I can't just walk away. I need to make them pay. As I listen to their laughter and whispers, the fury inside me solidifies into a plan. I will not let this go unanswered. I crouch in the closet, the scent of cedar and stale air mixing with my own sweat. My heart races as I listen to the voices outside. They're in the next room, chatting and laughing as if nothing is wrong. My wife and my brother, together. I clench my fists, trying to control the surge of anger that threatens to explode. Their conversation filters through the thin door. My wife's laugh, once a sound of comfort, now grates on my nerves. She's making small talk, her voice light and carefree. My brother's deeper tones respond with a familiarity that stings. I hear him comment on the new furniture, a casual remark about how nice it is to finally make this place their own. The betrayal slices deeper with every word. I try to piece together what's happened since I left. The last time I saw them, everything was fine. I was a soldier heading off to serve, proud of my family and eager to return. Now it feels like I'm in a nightmare where every detail is twisted against me. I've been replaced, erased from their lives, my memory a mere inconvenience. Minutes drag on like hours. The longer I stay hidden, the more I feel my anger boiling over. My thoughts are a whirl of vengeance and disbelief. How could they do this to me? How could my brother, a man I trusted with my life, betray me so completely? The door creaks open. I hold my breath, my body tensing. I can't let them know I'm here. They walk into the room, their voices growing clearer. I hear my wife's heels clicking against the hardwood floor. The sound is jarring, a reminder of the life I once had and the new life she's built with my brother. I hear her say, "It feels so strange to be in this house again, but it's like it was meant to be." My brother chuckles. "Yeah, it's like everything just fell into place." I still can't believe we're finally living here together. They settle onto the bed, their bodies brushing against each other in an intimacy that makes me sick. I listen to their whispers, their touches. It's clear they've been living this life for a while, building their new reality without a hint of guilt. My mind races with plans. I need to find out more. I need evidence of their betrayal. I'm not just going to confront them without knowing the full extent of their deception. I wait until their voices fade, indicating they're heading out. As soon as they leave the room, I slip out of the closet and into the master bedroom. I sift through their things, looking for anything that might help me understand the full picture. My hands tremble as I go through papers and photographs. I find a wedding photo of them together. My wife's smile is radiant, but it's hollow to me now. My brother's arm around her is a stark reminder of the life they've stolen from me. I search for documents or anything that can provide insight into their scheme. There are bank statements, joint accounts, and even letters from lawyers. They've set up a new life, legally binding and financially secure. The rage inside me grows. They didn't just move on. They've systematically erased me. I stumble upon a letter addressed to my daughter. My wife's handwriting is unmistakable, a personal touch that once felt intimate, but now feels like a knife in my side. The letter talks about their new life and how they've missed her. The hypocrisy is sickening. How could they claim to miss her when they've betrayed me so completely? I need to be careful. If they find me snooping around, it could ruin everything. I return to the closet and hide once more, waiting for their return. Every minute is a test of my patience. My thoughts drift to the trial ahead, the confrontation that I know is coming. It's not just about revenge. It's about making sure they understand the depth of their betrayal. Hours pass, and the sound of their return breaks the silence. I hear them enter the house, their footsteps echoing through the halls. They're chatting about mundane things, grocery lists, plans for the weekend. It's as if their world is perfectly normal, unaffected by the chaos they've caused. I wait for them to settle before making my move. I need to gather more evidence, to find the smoking gun that will make their betrayal undeniable. I hear them moving around the house, talking softly. They've settled in for the night. I slip out of the closet once more, moving quietly through the house. I head to the office, a room I haven't yet explored. It's filled with more personal items, documents, and a laptop. I start browsing through the files, looking for anything that might indicate how deep their deception runs. I find emails, correspondence between my wife and my brother. They discuss their plans for a future together, the life they're building. The emails are filled with terms of endearment, promises of forever. It's a gut-wrenching reminder of what they've stolen from me. I hear a sound behind me and spin around. My heart pounds in my chest. I freeze, hoping it's not them discovering me. I listen intently, realizing it's just a door creaking. I continue my search, gathering as much evidence as I can before they return to the room. I have a few key documents and emails saved. I know this will be the leverage I need when the time comes. I need to leave before they come back. I head to the back door, slipping out into the night. The cool air hits me, a stark contrast to the stifling heat of the house. I walk through the darkness, my mind racing with plans. I know the confrontation is inevitable. The betrayal has set me on a path of revenge, and I'm determined to see it through. I need to be prepared for what comes next, to make sure they understand the pain they've caused. The night is quiet, but my thoughts are anything but. I'm consumed by the need for revenge, a desire to make them feel the weight of their betrayal. The evidence I've gathered will be crucial, and I'm ready to use it to confront them. As I head towards my temporary hiding place, I'm filled with a mix of anticipation and dread. The trial of their betrayal is about to begin. The days that follow are a haze of calculated observations and simmering rage. I've made the master bedroom my base of operations. Each day I return to the house under the cover of night, my heart pounding with a mixture of anticipation and dread. I need to gather evidence to ensure that when the time comes, there's no doubt about the extent of their betrayal. Every night, as I hide in the shadows, I watch them interact. My wife and my brother, now a married couple, move through the house as if nothing has changed. They speak in soft tones, their intimacy evident in the way they touch and look at each other. The house is their sanctuary, a place where my absence is a ghost they've learned to ignore. I begin to collect more incriminating evidence. My wife's phone, left carelessly on the kitchen counter, becomes a goldmine of information. I find text messages between her and my brother discussing their plans, their future together. Each message is a blow to my heart. They talk about their dreams, their new life, and my supposed death is mentioned as a mere obstacle they've overcome. They discuss how they've managed to maintain their deception, the logistics of their new life, and even the lies they've told to friends and family. It's a detailed account of their deceit. One evening, as I'm searching through the office files, I come across a document that reveals their elaborate scheme. It's a legal document, an insurance policy taken out in my name, with my wife and brother listed as beneficiaries. It's dated after my supposed death, a chilling confirmation that they've been living off my name, my supposed demise for years. The betrayal is complete and calculated, a cold business transaction dressed up in the guise of a new beginning. I overhear a conversation between them in the living room. They're discussing their financial stability, the new investments they've made, and their plans for the future. They sound like any other couple making plans, but to me, it's a reminder of the life they've stolen from me. My wife speaks with an air of casual contentment that makes my blood boil. "We've done well for ourselves," she says, her voice dripping with satisfaction. "Everything's falling into place perfectly." My brother's response is equally smug. "Yeah, it's like the universe is finally rewarding us for our patience." The betrayal cuts deeper with every word. They speak as if my life, my sacrifice, was nothing but a minor inconvenience. They've turned my world upside down and made it their own. I'm consumed by the desire to make them pay for every lie, every deception. The evidence I've gathered is substantial, but I need more. I need to catch them in the act of their deceit, to make sure they understand the full weight of their betrayal. I continue to monitor their movements. Each day brings a new layer of deceit. I observe them as they go about their lives, their routines, their intimate moments. I watch as they plan their future, their conversations laced with the kind of affection that once belonged to me. It's a painful reminder of what I've lost. The more I gather, the more I realize the depth of their manipulation. They've faked my death, manipulated everyone around them, and built a new life on the ruins of mine. My anger transforms into a cold determination. I can't let them get away with this. I need to expose them, to show everyone the truth. One evening, I find myself in the kitchen, where I've been spending more time looking for anything useful. I'm poring over documents and bills when I hear my wife's voice approaching. I scramble to hide, slipping behind the pantry door. My heart pounds as I hold my breath. The sound of her footsteps gets closer. She's talking on the phone, her voice urgent and low. "I need to make sure everything is in place for the fundraiser," she says. "It's crucial we keep up appearances. The last thing we need is any hint of our past surfacing." Her words confirm my worst fears. They're planning to hold a fundraiser, a public event that will solidify their new image, their new life. They're hiding behind a facade of charity and community involvement, using their public persona to mask their deceit. I feel a surge of rage. They're not just living off my betrayal, they're profiting from it, using it to enhance their lives. I realize I need to act soon. The fundraiser presents a perfect opportunity. If I expose them during the event, it'll be impossible for them to deny their deceit. I start preparing for it, making sure I have all the evidence I need. The night before the event, I gather everything: documents, photos, emails, and recordings of their conversations. I need to ensure that when the moment comes, there's no turning back for them. On the day of the fundraiser, I'm filled with a tense anticipation. I dress in dark clothes, blending in with the shadows. I've mapped out the layout of the event, knowing exactly where I need to be to get the most impact. As I arrive, I see the venue decorated to the nines, a stark contrast to the betrayal that lies beneath. The event is in full swing, with guests mingling and enjoying themselves. My wife and brother are the center of attention, their smiles a facade of their new life. They're playing the roles of the perfect couple, hosting and making small talk. It's sickening to watch. They're living a lie and everyone around them is none the wiser. I move through the crowd, my mind focused on the task at hand. I see my wife and brother talking to various guests, their charm on full display. I wait for the right moment, knowing that once I reveal the truth, their carefully crafted world will crumble. As the evening progresses, I spot a moment of privacy, a corner of the venue where they're taking a break. I approach, making sure I'm unseen. I pull out my phone and start recording. The conversation I overhear is chilling. "I'm nervous about this," my wife admits, her voice trembling slightly. "What if someone finds out?" My brother reassures her. "Don't worry, we've covered all our bases. No one will ever connect us to the past. Besides, everyone believes the story we've told. They'll never suspect a thing." Their words are a final confirmation of their deceit. I have everything I need. My anger is palpable, but I keep it under control. The time to act is now. I prepare to reveal their betrayal, to expose them to everyone at the fundraiser. As I move through the crowd, I notice the increasing tension in my chest. The moment is almost here. I make my way to the stage, where my wife and brother are about to make a speech. I know this is the perfect time to unveil the truth. My hands are steady, my mind focused on the task. I'm ready to confront them, to bring their world crashing down. The moment of reckoning arrives. I'm in position at the fundraiser, a shadow among the glittering crowd. My heart pounds as I watch my wife and brother prepare for their speech. They stand on the stage smiling, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of the spotlights. The crowd is buzzing with anticipation, but all I can focus on is the final act of my plan. The room is a sea of expensive dresses and sharply dressed men, laughter and clinking glasses creating a backdrop of normalcy. Yet beneath the surface, I'm about to unleash chaos. I feel the cold edge of the documents and recordings in my pocket. This is it. My moment of vengeance is at hand. My wife steps up to the microphone, her voice smooth and practiced. "Thank you all for joining us tonight. Your support means the world to us. It's because of people like you that we're able to make a difference." Her words are a facade, a performance for the public. I see her glance at my brother, who is standing beside her, his hand resting possessively on her back. They look like a perfect couple, their smiles wide and confident. They don't realize that their world is about to implode. As she continues her speech, I make my way through the crowd, slipping past guests and avoiding the attention of the security personnel. My nerves are a tight coil of anticipation. I approach the front of the stage, my eyes fixed on my targets. With every step, I can feel the weight of my anger and betrayal pressing down on me. I pull out my phone, my hands steady despite the adrenaline coursing through my veins. I find the video file I need, the one where my wife and brother are discussing their plans, their deceit. I start the playback, the voices echoing through the speakers of my phone. The crowd's murmur fades as the recording begins to play. "We've covered all our bases," my wife's voice says. "No one will ever connect us to the past." The room falls silent as the recording continues. My wife's face pales, her smile faltering. She looks around, confusion and fear flashing in her eyes. My brother's reaction is one of panic. He steps forward, trying to shut down the speaker, but the damage is already done. The guests begin to whisper, their curiosity piqued. My wife and brother exchange frantic glances, their composure slipping. They're caught in the spotlight of their deceit, exposed to the very people they've deceived. I step forward, taking the stage with a confidence that surprises even me. My voice cuts through the silence. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you need to hear the truth about these two. My wife and brother turn to face me, their expressions a mix of shock and disbelief. I can see the realization dawning on their faces as they recognize me. Their smiles are replaced by fear, their masks of perfection shattered. My wife's voice trembles as she tries to regain control. This is a misunderstanding. Please just... But I don't let her finish. I continue, my voice steady and resolute. They've been living a lie. They faked my death, manipulated everyone around them, and used it to build a new life while I was left in the dark. I pull out the documents and start displaying them on the large screen behind us. The insurance policies, the texts, the emails, they all paint a clear picture of their deception. The crowd gasps as the evidence unfolds. I see the shock and disbelief in their eyes, mirrored by the same emotions on my wife and brother's faces. The room is filled with murmurs of outrage and confusion. My wife's voice rises above the noise, pleading and desperate. Please, you have to believe me. This isn't what it seems. But the evidence is irrefutable. The truth is laid bare for everyone to see. The guests are now a mix of angered and sympathetic, their attention riveted on the drama unfolding before them. My brother tries to approach me, his face a mask of anger and desperation. You don't know what you're doing. You're ruining everything. I stand my ground, my gaze unwavering. No, you ruined everything the moment you chose to betray me. The confrontation reaches its peak. My wife collapses into a chair, tears streaming down her face as the reality of her actions sinks in. My brother's attempts to salvage the situation only make things worse, his stammering excuses falling on deaf ears. The once perfect facade of their life is in tatters. The event descends into chaos. Guests are scrambling for the exits, their evening turned into a nightmare of betrayal and deceit. My wife and brother are left standing amidst the wreckage of their carefully constructed world. I see the desperation in their eyes, the realization that their lies have caught up with them. The security guards arrive, but the damage is already done. I've made my point. The evidence is public, the truth exposed. As the room empties, I take a step back, my anger and satisfaction mingling in a complex blend of emotions. I've achieved what I set out to do, but it feels hollow. The price of my revenge has been high, and the fallout is just beginning. I leave the venue, my mind racing. I've made sure that the world knows the truth about my wife and brother, but now I have to face the consequences of my actions. The path ahead is uncertain, and the emotional toll of my revenge weighs heavily on me. As I walk away from the scene, I know that my quest for vengeance has changed everything. The confrontation has been intense, the exposure complete, but the personal cost is only starting to unfold. The next steps are unclear, and the future holds both uncertainty and a strange sense of liberation. In the days following the fundraiser, the aftermath of my actions starts to settle into the fabric of my life. The public exposure of my wife and brother's deceit has rippled through their circles, causing chaos and destruction. I had achieved the revenge I sought, but the cost is becoming increasingly apparent. I sit in a dimly lit room, the glow of my laptop casting a pallid light over my face. News articles and social media posts flash across the screen, each one detailing the fallout from the fundraiser. My wife's face is everywhere, her name dragged through the mud. My brother's reputation is in tatters. I see the same patterns repeating: shock, outrage, pity. They're the new scandal, the fresh gossip. For now, the world is focused on their betrayal, but I know this is just the beginning. The initial sense of triumph has started to wane. I've succeeded in dismantling their lives, but the process is taking a toll on me. The initial thrill of revenge has been replaced by a growing sense of emptiness. I thought exposing their lies would bring me peace, but it's doing the opposite. The satisfaction I hoped for is elusive. I think about the collateral damage. My daughter is still in shock, her world shattered. I haven't had the chance to really talk to her since that night. She's been staying with friends, avoiding me. The pain in her eyes, the way she recoiled when she first saw me, it haunts me. I know I need to reach out, but every time I think about it, I'm overcome with guilt and uncertainty. The phone rings, pulling me from my thoughts. It's a call from my lawyer. The conversation is brief but loaded with implications. There's talk of legal repercussions. My public exposure of the scandal has stirred up trouble, and my actions might have crossed legal boundaries. The possibility of lawsuits and criminal charges is very real. It's a reminder that the price of my vengeance might be higher than I anticipated. As the days pass, the walls of my apartment seem to close in on me. The space feels alien, a shell of the home I once cherished. I'm no longer just dealing with the fallout of my revenge. I'm grappling with my own demons. The anger and betrayal that drove me to this point have left me emotionally drained. I look at myself in the mirror and see a stranger. The man who once wore the uniform of a soldier now looks like someone who's lost his way. One evening, I decide to visit the places I used to go with my family. I walk through the park where my daughter and I used to have picnics. The swings are empty, the playground silent. I see parents with their children, laughing and enjoying their time. It's a stark contrast to the turmoil inside me. I sit on a bench and watch the world go by, feeling disconnected from it all. The weight of my actions is pressing down on me. I think about the pain I've caused and the lives I've ruined. My wife and brother's lives are in shambles, but I'm also aware of how my actions have affected those around me. My daughter, once innocent and full of life, is now dealing with a legacy of betrayal. I wonder if my quest for revenge has been worth it. The emotional toll is becoming unbearable. I start to notice changes in my interactions with people. Friends and acquaintances who once were close seem to keep their distance. There's a chill in the air, a sense of judgment that I can't escape. I've become a pariah, and the isolation is suffocating. The more I try to reach out, the more I feel pushed away. I reach out to a therapist, seeking help to make sense of my emotions. The sessions are uncomfortable but necessary. I talk about my feelings of betrayal, anger, and the hollow victory of revenge. It's through these conversations that I start to see the broader picture. The therapist helps me understand the psychological impact of my actions and the importance of finding a way to heal. Despite the guidance, I can't shake the feeling of regret. I see my wife and brother in the media, their lives unraveling in real time. The shame and guilt I feel are almost overwhelming. I wonder if I'll ever be able to move past this and find peace. I start considering ways to make amends. My first priority is to reach out to my daughter. I send her a heartfelt letter, apologizing for the pain I've caused and expressing my deep love for her. I know it's not enough, but it's a start. I hope that she'll read it and find it in her heart to forgive me. I also begin to think about how to make reparations to those who have been affected by the fallout of the scandal. I look into ways to contribute to charities and organizations that work with victims of betrayal and deceit. It's a way to channel my guilt into something positive, to make a difference in a small way. As I make these efforts, I start to feel a faint sense of closure. The road to redemption is long and uncertain, but I'm committed to walking it. I understand that my actions have consequences, and I'm prepared to face them, no matter how difficult they may be. The emotional weight of my actions is still heavy, but I'm beginning to see a glimmer of hope. I'm learning to cope with the fallout and to address the damage I've caused. It's a painful process, but I'm determined to find a way to heal and to rebuild my life. I know that the path ahead will be challenging. The consequences of my actions will continue to unfold, and the journey to redemption will be fraught with obstacles. But for the first time since the revelation of the betrayal, I feel a sense of direction. I'm no longer consumed by anger and vengeance. Instead, I'm focused on making amends and finding a way to move forward. As I look toward the future, I realize that the road to healing is just beginning. I've faced the immediate consequences of my actions, but there's still much work to be done. I'm committed to taking responsibility for my actions and to finding a way to rebuild my life and relationships. It's a daunting task, but I'm determined to see it through. The path to resolution is far from clear, but I'm ready to face it head on. I've taken the first steps toward healing, and I'm hopeful that with time and effort, I can find a way to rebuild my life and find peace once more. The days following the exposure of my wife and brother's betrayal have been a whirlwind. The initial thrill of revenge has dissipated, replaced by a gnawing emptiness that I can't shake. My victory feels hollow. As the dust settles, the reality of my actions begins to sink in. The legal and personal consequences are starting to catch up with me, and I'm forced to confront the harsh truths of what I've done. I sit in my dimly lit apartment, the weight of my choices pressing heavily on my chest. The news coverage of the scandal has died down, but the repercussions are still unfolding. The media's focus has shifted, but the legal troubles I face are very real. My lawyer has warned me about potential lawsuits from my wife and brother. They're seeking damages for the public humiliation and emotional distress I've caused. The thought of facing legal action adds another layer of anxiety to an already overwhelming situation. My phone buzzes with a text message. It's from my daughter's school. The message is brief but significant. She's been having trouble focusing in class and is often withdrawn. It breaks my heart. I haven't been able to see her since the fundraiser, and I'm painfully aware of the impact my actions have had on her. I know I need to find a way to make things right, but every attempt seems to push her further away. One evening, I decide to visit her school. I sit in the waiting area, the sterile environment doing nothing to soothe my nerves. The principal eventually arrives and ushers me into her office. She's kind but firm, her demeanor professional. "Mr. Johnson," she says, her voice calm but concerned. "I understand you've been going through a difficult time. Your daughter has been struggling lately. I wanted to speak with you about how we can support her." I nod, feeling a pang of guilt. I know. I'm trying to make things right, but I don't know where to start. The principal offers some suggestions for counseling and support services. I listen intently, taking notes. I realize that I need to do more than just apologize. I need to be actively involved in her healing process. Leaving the school, I feel a renewed sense of determination. I want to make amends, but I also need to confront the larger consequences of my actions. I know that seeking forgiveness won't be easy, and the road to redemption will be long, but I'm committed to doing whatever it takes. The next morning, I head to a legal aid office to explore my options. I need to understand the full extent of the legal consequences I'm facing. The attorney I meet with reviews my case and provides a sobering assessment. The potential legal ramifications are serious. I could face significant financial penalties and even jail time if the court decides to pursue criminal charges for the public exposure of the scandal. The attorney's words hit me hard. I knew my actions would have consequences, but hearing the details of what I could face brings a new level of clarity. I'm left with a stark realization. My quest for revenge has not only damaged my family, but also put my own freedom at risk. As I leave the office, my phone rings. It's my lawyer again. He tells me that my wife and brother have officially filed lawsuits against me. They're seeking compensation for the damage to their reputations and the emotional distress caused by the public scandal. The news is crushing. I know I've hurt them, but I didn't anticipate the full scope of their response. I spend the rest of the day trying to gather my thoughts. I visit a local park, hoping the fresh air will clear my mind. The park is peaceful, but I find no solace. I sit on a bench, staring at the calm water of the pond, and think about the choices that led me here. The pain I've caused is undeniable, but the path forward is unclear. I've tried to make amends, but it feels like an uphill battle. The next few weeks are a blur of legal meetings, therapy sessions, and attempts to reach out to my daughter. I'm trying to piece together the fragments of my life, but it's a slow and painful process. Each day feels like a battle, and the weight of my actions is always present. My therapist helps me navigate through the emotional turmoil. We talk about the guilt and regret I feel and the long-term impact of my actions. I'm starting to understand the deeper implications of what I've done, both for myself and for those I've hurt. The process is difficult, but it's helping me come to terms with the consequences of my revenge. One evening, I'm sitting alone in my apartment, reflecting on the progress I've made. The apartment feels empty, a stark reminder of the life I once had. I glance at the framed photograph on the wall, my wife and daughter, smiling and happy. The image serves as a poignant reminder of what I've lost. I decide to write a letter to my wife and brother. I want them to know that I understand the pain I've caused and that I'm genuinely remorseful. I pen down my feelings, expressing my regret and acknowledging the hurt my actions have inflicted. It's a difficult letter to write, but I hope that it will provide some measure of closure for both them and me. The next day, I arrange a meeting with my lawyer to discuss a potential settlement. I know that the legal battle is far from over, but I want to explore every option for resolving the situation. The lawyer advises me on the best course of action, and we begin to negotiate with my wife and brother's legal teams. As the negotiations progress, I find myself growing increasingly introspective. The legal and personal challenges are formidable, but they're also forcing me to confront the deeper issues within myself. I'm learning to accept responsibility for my actions and to face the consequences head-on. Despite the turmoil, there's a growing sense of resolve within me. I know that the road to redemption is long and fraught with obstacles, but I'm committed to seeing it through. I'm determined to take responsibility for my actions and to make amends wherever possible. The emotional weight of my actions is still heavy, but I'm beginning to find a sense of clarity. I've faced the immediate consequences and am working toward resolving the legal issues. My focus is now on rebuilding my life and finding a way to move forward. As I continue to navigate this challenging period, I remain hopeful that, with time and effort, I can find a way to heal and rebuild the relationships I've damaged. The journey ahead is uncertain, but I'm prepared to face it with honesty and determination. I stand before the weathered gravestone, the cold wind whipping around me. The engraved name is a stark reminder of what I've lost and the man I once was. It's late afternoon, and the sun is dipping low, casting long shadows over the cemetery. I'm alone, and the silence around me feels heavy. It's been months since the storm of betrayal and revenge unfolded, and now here I am, trying to make sense of it all. The journey from the moment I discovered my wife's betrayal to this point has been harrowing. The legal battles, the broken relationships, the emotional turmoil, they've all taken their toll. I've been through the ringer, and now I'm left with a heavy sense of finality as I confront the consequences of my actions. The cemetery is eerily quiet, save for the rustling of leaves. I remember the day I saw the grave, my supposed grave. The sight of the fresh earth and the cold marble brought an overwhelming sense of finality, like my life had been erased. I'd been buried while I was still alive, both literally and figuratively. My return and the subsequent revenge were my way of reclaiming my life. But now as I stand here, it feels like another chapter closing. I trace my fingers over the cold marble, the name engraved there a ghost of my past. My chest tightens. The person I was is gone, and I'm left with a shell of the man I used to be. The betrayal has fundamentally changed me, and no amount of revenge can undo that. The trials I faced were intense. My wife and brother went to great lengths to damage my reputation, and they succeeded. They painted me as a villain, someone who had turned their lives upside down. The media frenzy, the court proceedings, and the public scrutiny were relentless. My actions, no matter how justified in my mind, had led to a legal and personal nightmare. The court cases are still ongoing, and I'm facing potential civil penalties and ongoing legal battles. The fallout has left me estranged from my daughter and my remaining family. The isolation is profound. As I stand at the grave, I try to reconcile my actions with the person I've become. I was consumed by anger and revenge, driven by the desire to make them feel the pain I felt. But as I reflect on the events, I see how far I've strayed from who I once was. The vengeance I sought has left me isolated and hollow. My daughter's silence is the hardest part. She's cut off all communication with me, and I understand why. She saw me as a hero who came home only to be thrust into a storm of chaos and destruction. The life we once had is gone, replaced by a fractured reality. I've tried reaching out to her, but the attempts have been met with silence. I fear that the damage I've done may be irreversible. The grave before me symbolizes more than just the end of my former self. It represents the life that was taken from me, the family I lost, and the man I used to be. The symbolic gesture of visiting the grave is my attempt to bury the past and make peace with it. I want to lay to rest not just the man who was betrayed, but the vengeful spirit I've become. I sit down beside the grave, my emotions raw. The cool breeze brushes against my face, and I close my eyes trying to find solace in the silence. The bitterness of revenge has left its mark, and the quest for justice has come at a tremendous cost. I've learned the hard way that vengeance doesn't provide the satisfaction I thought it would. Instead, it has led me to a place of profound solitude. As the sun sets, the cemetery grows darker, the shadows lengthen, and the chill in the air deepens. I rise slowly, taking one last look at the grave. It's time to move forward, but the future is uncertain. I don't know what lies ahead, but I know I must confront the reality of who I am now. I leave the cemetery with a heavy heart, my thoughts swirling. The road ahead is uncharted, and I'm unsure of the steps I need to take. Redemption seems distant, and the journey toward healing is fraught with obstacles. But I'm determined to find a way forward. The story of my life has been one of betrayal, revenge, and isolation. But as I move away from the grave, I carry with me the hope that someday I can find a semblance of peace. The future is open-ended, and though it feels daunting, there's a glimmer of hope. I'll need to rebuild, to reconnect with the world, and to forge a new path. In the end, my journey has taught me that the quest for vengeance can be all-consuming and ultimately destructive. The pain of betrayal has shaped me, but it doesn't define who I will become. As I walk away from the cemetery, I take a deep breath, ready to face whatever comes next. The past may be buried, but the future is still unwritten, and with it comes the possibility of redemption and renewal.